Real meat much healthier than fake plant-based alternatives, study finds. Now, this is a recent study, one of multiple studies over the years that actually showed that real meat is healthier than these meats that was made in a laboratory. I mean, it's pretty obvious that God can make a healthier meat, much more healthier than what man can make. But they continue to push this meat that's really not that healthy for us. So we're going to talk about it. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button. Share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. And hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon. That's where I talk about things that I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my X account, so follow me there as well. All right, so let's get into this news. Now, this comes from Slay News, and they report that a groundbreaking new study has just flipped the script on the globalist narrative that fake plant-based protein alternatives are healthier than real meat. The new study has confirmed that animal protein is not the killer it's been made out to be, and in fact, it may actually help protect against cancer. The team of researchers led by nutritional experts at Canada's McMaster University found that fewer meat eaters die young or suffer from serious illnesses such as cancer when compared to people who eat plant-based alternatives. It also debunked several claims promoted by those pushing for the general public to stop eating real meat. The study, published in Applied Physiology, Nutrition and Metabolism, examined nearly 16,000 adults in the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey. The results were clear. Animal protein was not linked to higher mortality risk. Higher intake of meat was actually tied to a lower risk of cancer death. Plant protein showed no protective effect despite years of hype. For decades, Americans have been bombarded with the mantra, animal protein kills, plant protein heals. However, this study exposes how shaky that claim really is. It revealed how much of the narrative, which is usually pushed by green agenda globalists and their allies, have been driven by flawed science, corporate interests, and aggressive plant-based marketing. Back in 2014, a cell metabolism study claimed animal protein spiked cancer risk by 400% in middle-aged adults. Its lead author, Walter Longo, became a media darling, and the headline spread like wildfire. But the study was fundamentally flawed. It was built on unreliable one-day food recalls and skewed data groups. The new McMaster University analysis re-examined the same NHANES data set with rigorous methods. The results show that those sky-high mortality risks vanished. So why did the earlier claims dominate headlines? Follow the money. Of course. The plant-based food industry, projected to hit $162 billion by 2030, has every incentive to demonize meat while pushing ultra-processed soy patties and pea protein powders. Government dietary committees, often stacked with lobbyist influence, played along, ignoring contradictory research. This is something I talked about years ago when it came to the aspartame stuff. Another anti-meat scare tactic has been the growth hormone IGF-1, long blamed for fueling cancer. But the McMaster team found no link between IGF-1 and cancer, heart disease, or overall mortality. In fact, evidence suggests low IGF-1 can actually worsen outcomes, particularly in older adults. The simplistic animal protein equals cancer narrative simply doesn't hold up. Beyond debunking the myths, the study highlights why animal foods are so important. They provide complete amino acids for muscle, immunity, and metabolism. Nutrients like iron, B12, and omega-3s are far more bioavailable from animal sources. That's duh. That's because once you start processing these things, you lose a lot of the nutrients in them. Traditional cultures like the Inuit and Maasai thrived on meat-heavy diets without today's epidemic of chronic disease. Meanwhile, the ultra-processed plant alternatives being pushed as healthy are loaded with seed oils, additives, and sodium, making the very definition of fake food. Perhaps most disturbing is how dissenting science has been treated. When a Japanese study flagged a rise in cancer deaths during the vaccine rollout, okay, cool. You know, I got to stop with that one. Y'all know I can't talk about that here, so I'm going to leave that one alone. I've talked about that actual study before on my Patreon, so y'all can check that out there. So I'm not going to talk about it here. Science should serve the public, though, not corporations. And when it comes to what's on your plate, you deserve facts, not propaganda. The war on meat has been built on shaky ground. Real meat isn't the threat. It may just be one of the best defenses we have. And that's the real reason why they're demonizing it right there, is because it is actually healthy. They want you to eat this heavily processed stuff to make you sick. That's what this is really all about. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Leave y'all comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe. And check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.